He stumbled into the hotel lobby, reeking of whiskey and defeat, barely able to stand, much less remember his own name. While security reached for their radios and guests averted their eyes, one woman drenched in coffee and overtimes napped. "Forward, sir?" "Let me help you," the black waitress whispered, steadying the billionaire no one dared approach. What happened after that one act of kindness would shock the entire city. Just 1 week later, that same waitress would walk through the front doors of the hotel again, not in a uniform, but in heels, holding the deed. You won't believe how she turned a single night into a legacy. Subscribe now, because this story is about to change how you see fate, power, and revenge. It was just after midnight when Tasha Green wiped the final table down at the Grand Astoria Hotel SRC 6-hour Cafe, her worn-out sneakers squeaking across the marble floor, her apron stained with coffee splashes and ketchup smears, and her soul aching from the weight of yet another double shift she couldn't afford to decline. Tasha, a 28-year-old single mother from Atlanta with dreams long buried beneath rent notices and college rejection letters, had never been late, never complained, and never thought she'd be anything more than a shadow behind the counter, until he walked in. Or rather, stumbled in Nathaniel Sterling, billionaire tech mogul and owner of the very hotel she worked in. Reeking of scotch, staggering across the lobby like a lost child, slurring to no one in particular. "Where's the damn elevator?" Security recognized him but stayed back, whispering nervously, unsure whether to interfere or let him spiral. Guests gawked. Phones recorded. But it was Tasha who stepped forward, ignoring the jeers and raised eyebrows, gently placing her arm around his and whispering, "Let's get you somewhere safe, sir." He looked at her with vacant eyes and murmured something about his mother, tears threatening to spill. With strength she didn't know she had, she guided him into the private elevator, used his key card he barely managed to drop into her hand, and helped him into the penthouse suite touched by dust but thick with emptiness. She removed his shoes, left water beside the bed, and before leaving, covered him with a blanket. The next morning, he had no memory of her. But the hotel cameras did, and so did his conscience. Chapter 2 begins when Nathaniel's assistant, a slick, no-nonsense woman named Charlotte, reviewed the hotel security footage to piece together his humiliating night, only to find the kindness of one waitress captured in every frame. Instead of a PR disaster, Nathaniel saw a rare act of dignity, and it hit him harder than the whiskey ever had. The next day, Tasha was summoned to the top floor, terrified she was in trouble. Instead, she found Nathaniel freshly shaved, deeply apologetic, and oddly attentive. "You helped me when I was nothing more than a disgrace," he said. No one else did. She simply nodded, unaware that decision would alter everything. He asked her to have lunch with him. She refused. He persisted. She finally agreed. By the third lunch, she told him about her son, her failed college dreams, her eviction notice. By the fifth, he told her about his loneliness, his estranged daughter, and the hotel board trying to oust him behind his back. 1 week later, he vanished. Just gone. Phone disconnected. Suite empty. Rumors swirled, rehab lawsuit, death. The hotel staff was told nothing. Tasha returned to work, heart heavier than before, telling herself not to feel anything for someone born galaxies away from her world. But exactly 1 week later, she was called into the general manager's office, only this time, it wasn't the manager waiting. It was a lawyer, with a briefcase and a deed. "Miss Tasha Green," he said, his voice formal but stunned. "Nathaniel Sterling has transferred ownership of the Grand Astoria to you." She laughed at first, cried next, then collapsed. Chapter 3 spiraled as the staff turned on her. Co-workers once friendly, now sneered, claiming she must have slept with him. Managers conspired against her, sabotaging bookings, spreading rumors. Social media exploded with headlines: Waitress to Queen, the Black Cinderella of hospitality. But Tasha didn't fold. She took the deed, hired a mentor in hotel management, and began firing the snakes one by one. She renovated the kitchen first where her journey began. She hired back the janitor who was unfairly fired. She turned the top floor into a training academy for hospitality workers from low-income neighborhoods. But the biggest twist came 3 weeks later when a new guest checked in under a false name. She recognized him instantly. Nathaniel, he had shaved his beard, lost 20 pounds, and walked with a limp. He confessed. After giving her the hotel, he left to escape the board's threats and start over in private. "I wanted to see what you do when I wasn't watching," he whispered. "And Tasha, you built a kingdom." Chapter 4 burns with finality. The board sued her, claiming the hotel transfer was illegal. Lawyers circled like sharks, but Tasha had done her homework. Nathaniel had pre-recorded videos, documentation, and a notarized declaration stating she saved not just his night but his life. He had even written a will naming her as executor of his hospitality legacy. In court, when the footage of her covering him with a blanket played, silence fell. Tasha won. But she didn't stop there. She created a chain of boutique hotels called Haven by Tasha, each one managed by single moms, immigrants, or underdogs like she had once been. Nathaniel became her silent partner. They grew close, but never romantic. Their bond was deeper than love was legacy. On the 1-year anniversary of their first meeting, she stood on a stage, staring at a crowd of graduates from her hotel training program. Her voice cracked as she said, "1 year ago, I helped a drunk man get home. I thought I was helping him, but he helped me find who I was meant to be." The crowd erupted. And somewhere in the back, Nathaniel clapped with tears in his eyes. Because sometimes the greatest empires begin with nothing more than a clean apron and a little compassion.